All right, guys, today on our video, we're going to be installing a RA50 Auxbeam switch, 8-gang switch. It's got toggles, momentaries, and it also pulses. We're going to put it here in the engine bay. I'll take you guys along and show you guys how I'm going to do it. There's a lot of different ways to install them, but I didn't see any the way that I like to do it. So I've already got one installed on my wife's car. I installed a couple of them, but we'll show you guys how it's done. All right, so like I said, I'm going to be putting this in my engine bay. I've seen a couple weird installs where they mount them vertically. I don't really like that. So I've seen some where they're mounted on top of the fuse box on the other side. I'll show you around. Seen them mounted over here before. I'm going to prefer to mount it right here if I can. I do have a 3D printer, and I was thinking about making some brackets to space it off down here. It's not exactly flush, it's not exactly level, so we're probably going to utilize, there's already 2 holes that's been drilled in this thing. Sometimes this old Jeep looks like Swiss cheese when I look at it, but yeah, there's 2 holes here, so we might really utilize these and then put another spacer on this side to keep it up a little bit so that we can mount this thing flat. Kind of playing around here, as you can see, none of this is really flat. Even if I wanted to try to mount this like this, the fuse panel would have to be on the other side so I could actually see stuff. If I went on this side, it'd just be too close to here, and there's nothing to bite on the back side here. I guess I could turn it sideways like this, but then I'm running into this. If I turn it this way, I still can't see it. So best bet I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mount it like this. I've got some standoffs that I printed up. I'm not sure if these are gonna work yet. They were from a different project. But if anything, they'll be good for getting an eye on my height. I've got some really long 1/4-20 bolts, and then I've got just some regular nuts, so I can create a standoff on this side. Once I get that height, I will create an actual 3D printed standoff for that side. So then everything will be mounted flush and flat, and it'll be super clean looking. So after about 15 minutes of screwing around with this thing, I think I've got a pretty good game plan. There's a hole right down here that looks like it was used for, I'm not sure what, but it's already there. I'm gonna drill it out just a little bit bigger and put another one right here. So then I'll have 2 points back here that I can catch, and then I'll catch this one, another hole up here. And that will give me at least 3 points of contact for the brace itself, which this brace only comes with 2 points, so that should be better. And mounting it horizontally instead of vertically, we won't have all the deflection that we would have if it was mounted vertically. So here we go. Again, right now I'm just doing this all for mock-up purposes. I still have the bracket pieces on here. I'm gonna have to cut all these off and things like that, but I at least want to figure out exactly how I'm gonna mount this. And part of the reason that I have these little standoffs here, and you can use whatever you want. These are actually, I use these when I mounted my front light bar. I made some extra pieces because the bar was a little bit narrower than the than the mount that I had for the winch mount. So everything I have is all symmetrical. But we'll mount this guy on here, tighten it down, we'll figure out exactly where I want, but now it'll be nice and flat, nice and straight. And the reason that I'm using these standoffs is so that when this thing is in the air like this, I can still get all of my wiring in and underneath it, instead of trying to mount it flat on here and flat over here and trying to fight getting wires up underneath and inside of the Auxbeam controller. That's pretty good right there, kind of like that. That looks pretty good. And I'm gonna catch over here as well. Probably gonna have about 1.5 inches right here. Yeah, if I ever have to pull the shock, would it be a lot easier to go through this hole in the top? Sure, but it's not impossible to go underneath it. So it looks pretty good and straight. I like that. Let's mark it. So I hate putting more holes in this Jeep, but it's kind of a necessary evil. Eventually these inner fender wells are going to go away eventually, and I'll have to remount all this stuff again. It looks pretty good. Grab another bolt here. Run it through that hole. Yeah, it looks good. Now, if you don't have a 3D printer, you can always stack washers, or you can get standoffs from the hardware store. Usually has like rubber standoffs so stuff can move around. Now I've got this over here. I'm going to put another, I'll run the drill down through here, figure out exactly where I got to be. Okay, perfect. Now I've got a witness mark in the paint. I'm gonna pull this guy out, back it off. And I've got 2 more of these little stanchions here, but they're a little thicker, so we'll see if I have to print any more or not. A little mark right there. Let's see if we can go from this side, that's better. Try that. Clean up on this side. Run this bolt back through here. See if I did this. See if I did it right. Cool. Oh, look at that. They're just about perfect. Actually, man, that's gonna work out just about right. I can actually trim a little bit off of this guy here and make this thing mount perfectly flush. These are actually the perfect size. That's just about perfect. Man, sometimes you nail it. All right, so we've got these 2 little guys in here. Maybe I will print them, make them look a little nicer. But I think when I tighten it down, it'll look pretty cool too. So that's our spacer right there. We got spacers on the other side. We just got to lop this guy off right here so that this guy comes off, and then we'll be looking pretty. Looks pretty good. So we've got our mount here. I just got to figure out how the hell I'm going to cut this thing so that it's somewhat clean. Oh god, what happened to this? What in the world? What did I cut on this thing last time I was here? I don't know, but it's gnarly. It got hot, real hot. Damn hot. I got a new disc, so depth is not an issue, like it is most days. Downward. There we go. There we go. You know what's irritating is as I'm doing this, I realized I could have literally just cut off these 2 tangs on here and left the 90-degree fold, and it would not have interfered with what I was doing. So, don't be like me. Be smarter. Hey, look at that. I did a thing. Not going to find it on other YouTube channels. Probably not going to find one that talks about themselves as much as I do. Look at that. It looks like terrible dog crap right now, but I promise I will clean it up and it will look beautiful when I'm done. All right, let's get out of here. I'm done with this disaster. Perfect. Throw some paint on it. Flip it over. You'll never know the difference. Remember what I was saying earlier how good I was? It's just turned out not to be. Paint was really, really cold, and Come here, follow me. All right, with that drying, that'll give us a chance to mount our actual switch panel. These things are pretty sweet. They're definitely worth the money. They're not overly priced. They work really well. I've installed Switch Pros. I've installed Switch Pods. Honestly, the Auxbeam one is just as good as all of them. And actually, this one, I've installed ones that are the LED screen for the Switch Pro or Switch Pods. I don't really like those. There's no dexterity for the buttons. No click. So sitting there and seeing if you actually hit it. The only thing I'll say is that having that the app interface is pretty neat. If something does happen to it, you can still use your app. But is what it is. All right, let me see if I can find a bracket for this thing. I've had it in and out. I've been staring at how to do this for I don't know how long, and it never goes how I want. So we'll see if we can't get this old girl mounted up. Oh yeah, like that. All right, let me show you where I'm gonna mount this thing. All right, so in here we've got this really cool old school poison spider cage, which is great before they got sold. So this guy right here, I'm pretty sure this was an aftermarket piece that somebody welded on, but it's got a little dome light there. But that will be the perfect mounting place to put this guy right here. So then it's within arm's reach. We can go lights on and off, rock lights on and off, and then eventually I'm probably gonna mount my winch controls to it. That's what I was thinking about doing, because this Auxbeam has momentary, so we can go momentary in, momentary out, and then I won't have to get in and out, or won't have to hook up a wire. I know that sounds really dumb, but creature comforts, man. All right, so let's see what we got here. We've got this guy that looks like it'll fit right there just perfectly, and I'll have enough room behind it too that I can still reach the little dome light in here, turn that on and off whenever I need to. Looked like the holes, oh my god, the holes line up perfectly. There's already 2 holes in the in this plate, and they literally line up perfectly. Let me grab some tools and get this thing on here. Let's see what happens. Oh, that works right there. And then we can point this down. Oh, look at that. Isn't that slick? Oh man. That looks pretty good right there. Boom, 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 boom. I like it. And I got these snazzy Allens. I'll put these up underneath it so that you will not see the nut. You're only going to see the Allen. Oh. Sweet. Look at that. That's awesome. I like it. Really like that. I mean, some guys will mount them down here and stuff like that, but that looks pretty good up there. All right, so we've got our Auxbeam switch panel installed. Now we got to run our wiring. This might get a little bit interesting. I got to run it down through the dash, and I've got this really sweet cage in here. And so running this down to the dash might be a little difficult. I have not spec'd it out yet. Go in your hole. Come on. Get in your hole, buddy. Oh, there we go. No, that doesn't feel right. Get in your hole. Jesus. If it doesn't fit, I'll force it. All right. All right, let's see. We'll run this over here. We've got a hole in the dash up here that I'm hoping, oh Jesus, what an idiot. We can run it up and run it down through here. I'm hoping I'll be able to catch it down low. So let's give her hell. I don't need to worry about putting a hole in the firewall because, like I said, this old Jeep's got a lot of holes in it already. So chances are it'll fit right in. Oh, I see it. I sees it. If I can just get to it, it's a whole other story. Ow! Who built this stupid thing? All right, so now we've run our length. So now we have run it, we've plugged it in. So now all this excess wire, we can zip tie it from the switch panel and go away and down. That way we won't have a bunch of stuff just hanging out on the top of the cage. So, all right. Zip ties. All right, if you guys are cutting zip ties, get you a pair of these. They're called flush cuts. You know what they're for? They're for cutting the tails off the end of your zip tie. So when you reach around in the engine compartment, after you've done a bunch of work, you're not cutting your hand on all the zip ties. You don't have to get snap-on ones. You just got to get something. Something, and not dikes. I'm not talking about dikes. Dikes will cut, dikes leave a tail. Look at that. Cool. Up, out of the way, everything looks good. And then you go back with your flush cuts. You get all the little tails and you cut them flush. And then you throw them on your floorboard. And you can clean them up later. That way, next time you work on this thing, you're not screaming about zip ties not being cut flush. It's always my favorite. Coming in after somebody nice and flush, right? And turn all the block parts so you don't see the blocks. You took your wire into the block, like locates it on the backside too. So you're not crushing it either. Look at that. You don't even see it. We'll come down under here. We'll pull the wire the rest of the way through, or we'll probably, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens when we get down there. We might pull it all the way through and then bundle it in the engine bay. We might pull it back some, clean it up inside the engine bay, and then bundle it in here. So we'll see. So we got our wire coming through here now. Whoops. It looks pretty good. We'll probably do something like this because we're gonna run our ground wire and our power wire over here as well. So we could kind of create our own loom coming across this to go straight into here. And then obviously we're gonna have lights and stuff mounting. So that'll always give us a nice, good, clean access point to come across with everything. All right, check it out. We have taken that wire, it's right there, that black one, zip tied it up, and then cleaned our zip ties up. So that is going to be out of the way of the footwell, and it'll be good to go. So one thing I just ran into, which I kind of expected, was cords for the switch assembly is not nearly long enough for what I need to do. So I'm gonna have to make my own. I usually have cable here. I don't know if I have enough cable right now though to make this. So this might be a save it for another day kind of project, but we'll see. I'm gonna start looking through my stuff and see what happens here. All right, well, I have enough. I just found some 4 gauge in my toolbox. It should be enough to get me home. I do not have enough for the ground side. So what we might do is make a ground. I don't know that necessarily has to run straight to battery power. I don't see why we couldn't run it to, or I'm sorry, I don't know why, I don't see why the ground has to run all the way to the battery. But we'll see. See if I do have enough ground cable actually. So stand by. We'll get this figured out here. All right, it's officially getting cold out here. So I'm just gonna show you guys real quick. Totally done with the install. So we've got our all right, so we've got our power here. We got a big 4-gauge cable. It's a lot bigger than what came with it, but the one that came with it is only about 2.5 feet long. So we need to make sure we can carry enough current all the way from our battery. So we've got our mount here. We've got our accessory wire. We've got our ground wire running up to this nice loom. You don't even notice it's there, all the way across. And then we've got our 60 amp breaker right here, runs up. We've got our power wire coming in right into this fuse here, coming off the alternator. So it's getting alternator power right into here. And then we've got our accessory wire running into our fuse box. And that concludes this build. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you like it. Like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I know I don't put these out enough. I know I said I was going to put out a lot more, but life's been a little crazy lately. So just like these kids inside my Jeep right now. So thanks again. Thanks for watching. Like I said, like and subscribe. Thanks.